Yes, Jim Mora, we are talking playoffs. Welcome, everybody, to JJ9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared here, and I represent the 904 from the 602, and today we are making some predictions for Wild Card Weekend, or Super Wild Card Weekend, as the NFL likes to call it now. You see all the playoff teams behind me right here. We're going to predict all 6 games and the outcome, who I think is going to win each of those games. Starting with the first game taking place Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, it's the Cleveland Browns against the Houston Texans. Texans shocked a lot of people by going from worst in the AFC South to first, winning the division on the final day, while the Cleveland Browns back in the playoffs for the first time since 2020 and just the second time in the last 20 years. Now, the two teams played earlier this season. The Browns won 36-22. The game was not even that close. The Browns were up 36-7 in that one. Obviously, the Texans did not have C.J. Stroud in that game, so a bit of an asterisk next to that from the offensive standpoint. But I don't know if the Texans have any answers to stop Amari Cooper, and that's going to be the X factor in this one. 11 catches, 265, 2 touchdowns in that game. Texans were healthy on defense and in the secondary, so he could have another great game like he had the last time. The big thing with the Browns is that Dustin Hopkins is out with a hamstring injury. That means Riley Patterson is in at kicker. And that's big because Riley Patterson does not have a strong leg. He can only hit from about 50 yards comfortably. Anything outside 50, he doesn't really have the leg to reach. So you're looking at the 33, 34, 35-yard line. Usually you kick a field goal in that spot. The Browns might have to go for it there, and that could be costly. That could cost them a lot of field position. We'll see what happens there. If the Browns lose this game, it's probably going to be because of some bad decisions on fourth down because of their limitations at kicker due to Riley Patterson's leg. But I think the Browns win this one. I just think that the Texans can't stop Amari Cooper. We didn't see it last time. Look, Houston's offense is not going to lay the egg that it did the last time just because C.J. Stroud is a lot better than Case Keenum and Davis Mills, whatever they were working with a few weeks ago when they last played. But I do have the Browns winning this one. I just think their offense is a bit too much right now for Houston to handle with Amari Cooper. I don't know if the Texans have any answers to that. So I'm taking Cleveland in this one to win on the road. The Saturday night game, Dolphins against the Chiefs. For the Dolphins, their entire defense is banged up. Obviously, Bradley Chubb is out. They have no linebackers left. Jerome Baker, Cameron Good, Andrew Van Ginkel, they are all on IR. They are down to bare bones at this point at the linebacker position. You had in the other game on Sunday night against Buffalo, 34-year-old Melvin Ingram in coverage on James Cook. That did not work out to the shock of absolutely no one. The Dolphins are just decimated on the defensive side of the ball. The third down defense has struggled a ton as of late. The last 2 weeks, opponents are converting 60% of their third downs, and against a team like Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes on the other side, that could bode very costly. The Dolphins defense, again, struggling as of late with the injuries. Buffalo got in plus territory on every single drive on Sunday night, minus the final drive with the kneel down. And Miami, it's a big storyline all season. They struggle against good teams. Against teams with winning records, the Dolphins are just 1-5 this season, with the one win coming at the last second against the Dallas Cowboys. This is a team that does not play well against good competition. Kansas City, obviously, they have their issues. The offense is struggling. Obviously, the wide receivers have dropped a ton of passes this year. And in cold weather, Kansas City, you're probably looking at about 5 degrees there. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be tough to catch the ball. Last time these teams met in Germany, the Chiefs won by 7. Chiefs didn't score in the second half. They scored 1 defensive touchdown. So Dolphins defense played well, but again, this Dolphins defense is a lot different. A lot of injuries. They're too banged up. For that reason, I'm taking Kansas City. Even though the Chiefs are not playing great football by any means, I just don't trust Miami with this banged up defense of theirs. The final game in the AFC, it is Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Buffalo Bills. For the Steelers, the big storyline, no TJ Watt. He is out with a grade 2 MCL sprain. He accounted for 40% of their sacks. He's a huge reason as to why the Steelers were in this spot in the first place. Possible Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to get some votes for sure. It's either going to be him or Myles Garrett winning that award. But either way, TJ Watt, big loss for the Steelers. You look at the quarterbacks of the Steelers have played to get into this spot over the final half of the season. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jake Browning twice, Kyler Murray, Bailey Zappi, Gardner Minshew, Geno Smith, Tyler Huntley. It's not exactly a murderer's row that they faced. They have not faced a quarterback like Josh Allen in a long, long time. This is an offense that has not really played well as of late. Yes, they are playing better with Matt Canada, now no longer the offensive coordinator. The running game with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren is playing really well as of late, but the offense has scored under 20 points in 7 of their last 9. I don't know if they can keep up with Buffalo. I don't know if they can keep up with a Buffalo offense that might be the best in football since they fired Dorsey as the offensive coordinator. Having said that, Josh Allen has been known to turn the ball over. That is his Achilles heel. That is his kryptonite. He struggles holding onto the ball. We saw that in the first half in the game against Miami We've seen that a lot this season. At the same time, no TJ Watt. The Steelers defense doesn't do a good job forcing turnovers. They have just 9 turnovers forced in their last 8. If Buffalo can hold on to the ball, they should be able to score more than 20 in this one. And I don't think Pittsburgh can score more than 20 with the way they've played offensively as of late. So I got the Bills winning this one. I've got Buffalo winning this game in the 2-7 matchup. Packers-Cowboys, though, has a chance to be your first 7-2 upset ever. It's never happened before where a 7 seed beat a 2 seed. 1982, 2020, 2021, 2022, the 7 seed is always lost. If ever there is a year for it to happen, this could be the year. The Packers are playing very good football as of late, 6-2 in their last 8. Jordan Love playing lights out over the last 8 games, 18 touchdowns, 1 interception. He is one of the hottest quarterbacks in football. My concern, though, with Green Bay in this one is on the defensive side. Jair Alexander, he might not play. He got hurt in practice earlier this week. He might not be able to cover CeeDee Lamb as a result, and that could obviously bode trouble because CeeDee Lamb might be the best receiver in football. If he's not number 1, he's in the top 3 alongside St. Brown and Tyreek Hill. My other concern with the Packers, Joe Barry's defense. Yes, they played well the last 2 weeks, but Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins, Justin Fields, those were the quarterbacks they were facing. Not exactly world beaters. This defense is still very inconsistent. Made Tommy DeVito look good. They made Bryce Young look the best he's looked all season. This is a defense that is very inconsistent, to say the least. Though they have other moments. They played well against the Lions on Thanksgiving, played well against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football a few weeks ago, but it is still a very inconsistent defense. I've got Dallas winning this one, but it's going to be a lot closer than the Steelers-Bills 7-2 matchup. It wouldn't shock me if Green Bay won this one, especially because I don't trust Mike McCarthy in the playoffs. He's done some really stupid things. He's one of the worst in-game managers in terms of decision-making. We saw what happened last year in the divisional round with the Zeke Elliott play at center and his bungling of the clock before the 2-minute warning at the end of that game. I've got Dallas winning this one, but I think this game is going to be pretty close, at the very least closer than Bills-Steelers will be. The best game of the week, though, has to be the Los Angeles Rams against the Detroit Lions. Sunday Night Football, the nightcap, the final game of the triple-header on Sunday. Rams are 7-1 in their last 8. The Lions are 7-3 in their last 10. These are 2 of the hottest teams in football, some really fun teams to watch. Lions run defense, one of the best in football. 2nd in yards allowed, 30 yards per carry allowed. They've allowed just 250 yards over their last 4 games. They played the Cowboys a few weeks ago. Tony Pollard had only 3 yards per carry, held him in check. Ty Chandler on the Vikings a few weeks ago had just 17 rushing yards in that game. And this is a Rams offense that likes to run. A big reason why the Rams are in this position is because Kyron Williams has had a phenomenal season. The second-year man, 2nd in the NFL in rushing yards, only behind Christian McCaffrey. That's going to be a big storyline. The Rams rushing offense against the Lions' red-hot rushing defense, and Matthew Stafford playing red-hot for the Rams. 11 touchdowns, 2 picks in his last 5 games. I could see this one going either way, but I'm taking the Lions for this reason in particular. Brett Maher at kicker for the Rams. It could come down to his leg. It could come down to special teams. It could come down to 1 or 2 kicks. It could come down to missed point opportunities. And I just can't trust the Rams kicking situation. I just can't. Maher's missed 2 of his last 3 extra points. He wasn't on a roster the last 2 months. They brought him back because Havlicek was just not cutting it for the Rams. Maher is just 67% on extra points over the last 12 months. We saw what happened in Dallas at the end of his time there, and he really has not been able to recover since then. He's under 74% on field goal attempts in that stretch. This could be a game where a missed kick or 2 makes the difference. Every point counts in a game like this where you could be looking at a really close affair. For that reason, I think the Lions have the better special teams unit. I'm going to take Detroit just because I don't trust the Rams and their kicking situation. It's going to be a really close game, but again, if it comes down to the leg of Brett Maher, I'm taking Detroit. The final game of the weekend, the Eagles against the Buccaneers, the Monday Night Football game. On paper, from a quality perspective, this game's an absolute mess. On paper, from a quality perspective, this is one of the worst playoff games of all time. You're probably looking at one of the worst playoff games on paper, just from a quality perspective of the teams in it, since that awful game between the Panthers and the Cardinals back in 2014, when the Panthers were 7-8-1 and they won the NFC South with a losing record, and the Cardinals were on their 3rd-string quarterback playing Ryan Lindley, just limping their way into the playoffs. This is a Bucs offense that's looked awful as of late. They scored just 20 points in their last 2 games, and they start off games really slow. 6 points in the first 3 quarters of the last 2 games. Got nothing going against Carolina, nothing going against New Orleans early on. At the same time, this is an Eagles team that is obviously playing terrible football. They've lost 5 of their last 6, and they're losing the turnover margin badly. Over the last 5 games, the Eagles have turned it over 12 times while only forcing 4. That's a turnover margin of -8. And that could bode trouble for Philly because outside of the Saints game, the Bucs have done a very good job over the last month holding on to the football. This is a team that, to their credit, doesn't turn the ball over. So Philly could lose the turnover margin in this one, and usually the teams that lose the turnover margin end up losing the game. Now, the last time these teams met, the Buccaneers could not stop the run. They allowed 201 yards, but since then, the Bucs' run defense has played very well. They've held their opponents to under 100 in 3 of their last 5. They did a very good job in that game on Christmas Eve against Jacksonville, so things could be changing there. Eagles won the last meeting by 14 points because of their strong run defense. They allowed just 41 yards, and Rachaad White was held to under 3 yards a carry, but the run defense has completely fallen apart over the second half of the season. They gave the duties to Matt Patricia. Ever since then, everything has gone south. They allowed 221 rushing yards to the Cardinals. The line is getting completely manhandled. This defensive line has fallen apart more so than any other defensive line from the first half of the season to the second half of the season. This could be a very sloppy game, and Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, you wonder how healthy they are. Baker Mayfield's not fully healthy. He got hurt in the game against Carolina. He didn't practice today with an ankle/rib injury. This game is an absolute mess. I'm taking the Eagles just because they won the last meeting when they played back in week 2. I know that was a long time ago, back when the Eagles were a much better team than what they are now. I'm taking Philly. I have no confidence in it, but I am taking Philadelphia to win this game just because they won the first meeting, and these two teams are limping their way into the playoffs on at least one side of the ball. So if you want my picks for this week, give me Cleveland, give me Kansas City, and give me Buffalo in the AFC. And the NFC, give me Dallas, give me Detroit, and give me Philadelphia. The one I'm most confident on is Buffalo against Pittsburgh and Kansas City against Miami. I'm least confident on the Rams-Lions game and on the Packers-Cowboys game. So in terms of my confidence level, Bills, I like them a lot. The Chiefs, I like them a lot. Lions, that could go either way. Packers-Cowboys, with the way Jordan Love is playing, that could go either way, especially if Jair Alexander does end up playing this game and gets off the injury report. But what are your thoughts on this? Who do you think is going to win in the wildcard round? Who do you think advances to the divisional round of the playoffs? Let me know your thoughts on all 6 games in the comments down below. And that's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to follow me on my main channel, JRGar9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, JRGar9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.